Elena paced the confined quarters of her private chamber aboard the HSS Emissary, the soft hum of the ship's environmental systems doing little to calm her racing thoughts. The diplomatic reception had been a disaster, a carefully orchestrated charade that left her with more questions than answers. "Computer, replay the Council Security Chief's statement from Meeting Index 7, she commanded. The wall display flickered to life, showing the towering insectoid Zax Voon, compound eyes glittering with an emotion Elena couldn't quite place. "Standard quarantine protocols must be observed when interacting with your delegation." The alien's translated voice hesitated on the final word, mandibles clicking rapidly. A gesture Elena's cultural briefings had identified as extreme anxiety. She paused the playback and turned as her door chimed. Dr. Sanjay Kumar entered, his usual composed demeanor fractured by visible concern. "You were right," he said without preamble, handing her a small data tablet. "I analyzed the atmospheric composition in our assigned sections. They're running the air through specialized filtration systems that aren't present in other parts of the station." Elena studied the readings. "They're filtering something out or filtering something in?" "Out," Kumar confirmed. "Specifically, they're scrubbing any particles that might originate from human bodies, skin cells, exhaled moisture, everything." Lieutenant Rodriguez slipped into the room behind Kumar, closing the door with deliberate care. "Engineering access was accidentally left open during the tour," she reported with a thin smile. "Their maintenance logs show emergency decontamination protocols triggered every time we leave an area." Elena felt a chill run through her body that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. "They're treating us like a plague." "There's more," Rodriguez continued, her voice dropping lower. "I managed to copy fragments of their internal communications. Listen to this." She activated her communication device and a gravelly alien voice emerged, partially distorted by the crude translation. "Containment failing. Human biological signatures detected in Section 19. Evacuate immediately." "That's from this morning," Rodriguez explained. After Jackson sneezed in the botanical gardens, Elena's mind raced through the implications. 1,000 tiny details suddenly aligned into a disturbing pattern. The subtle recoiling of alien dignitaries when humans approached. The elaborate, ceremonial garments that now seemed suspiciously like protective equipment. The constantly humming devices carried by their escorts that resembled medical scanners. "Commander Chen reports that the medical exchange program has been indefinitely postponed," Kumar added. Their official reason was protocol discrepancies, but she overheard 2 medical officers discussing containment failures and exposure risks. Elena moved to the viewport, gazing out at the massive station that encompassed them. No longer a symbol of interstellar cooperation, but suddenly feeling like an elaborate quarantine facility. "They invited us here to study us," she said slowly, "not to welcome us." Rodriguez's hand moved instinctively to her sidearm. "Should we prepare for hostilities, Captain?" Elena shook her head. "No, knowledge is our best weapon right now. We need to understand what they're so afraid of, and why they're keeping it secret." She turned back to her officers, determination hardening her features. "Kumar, I want you to access their central archives, whatever it takes. Rodriguez, establish a secure channel back to Earth that bypasses their monitoring systems. And find me someone on that station who's willing to talk." Her officers nodded and departed, leaving Elena alone with the unsettling realization that humanity's first contact with galactic civilization might already be balancing on the edge of catastrophe. Dr. Kumar slipped the mysterious data chip into his analyzer, glancing nervously at the door of his quarters. Elena stood watch by the viewport, her silhouette outlined against the distant stars. "I've bypassed their encryption," Kumar whispered, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "It's... my God." The display erupted with images of Earth. Not contemporary footage, but historical archives spanning centuries. Medieval villages, Renaissance cities, modern metropolises, all observed from concealed positions. Surveillance drones disguised as birds, insects, even household pets. "They've been studying us like laboratory specimens," Elena murmured, leaning closer to examine footage of a 19th century operating theater where surgeons worked without gloves, their hands bloody. Kumar navigated deeper into the files. These are biological assessments. Look at this. They've classified the average human body as a Class 4 biohazard environment. The hologram shifted to display a cross-section of a human body, with trillions of microorganisms highlighted in alarming red. Alongside it, comparative scans of various alien anatomies showed virtually sterile internal environments. The average human hosts over 100 trillion microorganisms. Kumar read, his voice faltering. 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells. A gentle knock interrupted them. Lieutenant Rodriguez entered, face flushed with excitement. "I've made contact," she whispered. "A council maintenance worker from the Zarathi species. They're considered low caste, responsible for cleaning areas after human visitation." She looked around before continuing. "The worker says they're given special protective equipment to handle anything we touch." Elena's communicator chimed with an alert from the medical bay. Dr. Chen's voice came through, tight with controlled urgency. "Captain, I need you in the medical bay immediately. I've discovered something crucial about our physiology compared to council species." 20 minutes later, Elena stared in disbelief at Chen's microscope display. It showed a simple comparison. Human skin cells teeming with microscopic life versus the completely sterile cellular structure of a council member. "I managed to obtain these samples by offering to demonstrate our skin cell regeneration rate," Chen explained. "Elena, they don't have microbiomes, not just reduced ones, they have none. No gut bacteria, no skin flora, nothing." "Is that even possible?" Kumar wondered. "Apparently for them, yes. Their evolutionary paths must have been fundamentally different from Earth's, where we evolved in constant interaction with microbes. They developed in environments that were naturally sterile, or developed extreme immune responses that eliminated all microorganisms." Rodriguez leaned against the wall, her military training evident in her immediate strategic thinking. "So when they look at us, they see walking petri dishes," Elena finished. "Billions of microorganisms that their bodies have no experience with and no defenses against." "There's more," Chen said, pulling up another display. "Remember Engineer Jackson's radiation burn that healed in days? I analyzed his tissue samples. Our microbiome doesn't just exist alongside us. It actively helps us recover from injuries, process toxins, and adapt to environmental challenges." Elena connected the threads of their discoveries, a chill running down her spine. "So we're not just different from them. We're evolutionarily unique," Chen confirmed, "and potentially lethal to their entire way of life simply by existing in their presence." The mysterious data chip's final file opened on Kumar's screen. A simulation of human expansion through the galaxy, followed by waves of microbial contamination spreading like wildfire across dozens of worlds. The file's name translated simply as Extinction Scenario. Elena's confrontation with Elder Thrixma continued in the private chamber, away from the prying sensors of the Council's security systems. The crystalline alien's multifaceted surface caught the light as she shifted uncomfortably under Elena's steady gaze. "How many human civilizations have you destroyed?" Elena asked, her voice dangerously calm. The Elder's crystalline form pulsed with amber light. What the human delegation had learned indicated distress or regret. "None," Thrixma responded, voice resonating from her entire body rather than any identifiable mouth. "That is precisely why I arranged for you to find the archives, to prevent that outcome." Elena circled the ancient being, piecing together the disparate fragments of information they'd discovered. "You classified us as an extinction-level species but took no action. Why?" "Divided council," Thrixma admitted. "Some advocated immediate sterilization of your world when we first detected radio signals. Others argued for containment and observation." Her form shimmered with muted blue pulses. "I led the observation faction. I found your species fascinating." Kumar, standing silently by the door, finally spoke. "You've been watching us for thousands of years. You could have helped during our plagues, our wars." and violated our primary directive of non-interference with evolutionary cycles? Thrixma interrupted, her crystalline form flashing deep red. Your very resilience came from those challenges. Your plagues forced you to develop medicine. Your wars drove technological advancement. So instead, you just watched? Elena couldn't keep the edge from her voice. We learned, corrected the elder. Your bacterial symbiosis is unprecedented in our records. Your adaptability to radiation, toxins, atmospheric variation, it defies conventional evolutionary theory. The alien's form dimmed to a softer hue. Some council members began to see potential rather than just threat. Elena leaned forward. What changed? Your faster-than-light breakthrough, Thrixma stated flatly. The containment strategy failed. The extinction advocates gained support. This diplomatic mission was their compromise. Assess whether controlled contact was possible. Before choosing final action, Lieutenant Rodriguez entered the chamber, breathing heavily. Captain, we have a serious problem. 3 maintenance workers collapsed after servicing the ventilation systems in our quarters. Preliminary diagnosis suggests microbial infection. Thrixma's crystalline form pulsed with alarm frequencies. It begins, she whispered. We had calculated at least another month before contamination reached critical levels. What do you mean? Elena demanded. The extremists on the council, they will use this incident to push for immediate quarantine protocols. They'll vote to isolate your ship, your crew, and ultimately your planet. Kumar stepped forward, face pale. And Earth? What does quarantine mean for our homeworld? Thrixma's form dimmed to near darkness. A containment field around your entire solar system. No signals in or out. No ships. Permanent isolation. Elena's communicator chimed with an urgent alert. The council was convening an emergency session. On the small screen, she could see security forces moving into position throughout the station. Captain, Rodriguez said quietly, they're sealing off access to our ship. Elena turned back to Thrixma, understanding dawning. You didn't just arrange for us to find those archives. You're actively helping us. Why risk everything to warn humanity? The crystalline elder's form glowed with a steady pulse. Because extinction is not the only possible outcome of our meeting. There is another classification beyond extinction level. Her light pulsed in a pattern that translated as hope. Symbiotic potential. The medical bay had transformed into a war zone of biological containment. Alien medical staff in full protective gear moved frantically between patients, their movements hampered by the bulky suits. Dr. Chen worked alongside them, her unprotected, hands moving with practiced efficiency as she examined tissue samples. The bacterial strain is Lactobacillus reuteri, she explained to Elena, pointing to the microscope display. It's a common probiotic in the human digestive system, completely, harmless to us, beneficial even. But catastrophic to them, Elena observed, watching as another council medical worker was rushed in, body convulsing. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. Their bodies have no evolutionary experience with microorganisms, no natural defenses. It's like introducing smallpox to indigenous populations in Earth's colonial era, but on a cellular level. Security Chief Zaxavoon approached, his insectoid form encased in an elaborate containment suit, translucent panels revealing his compound eyes fixed on the humans. Your presence has contaminated 3 decks, he stated, mandibles clicking behind his breathing apparatus. Environmental systems cannot eliminate the microbes faster than they spread. Elena faced him squarely. Let my medical team help. We understand these organisms better than anyone. More humans moving through the station would accelerate contamination, Zaxavoon countered. We're already developing targeted treatments, Dr. Chen interjected, indicating her workstation where human medical staff synthesized compounds. We can create broad-spectrum antibiotics specifically designed for your physiologies. Kumar burst into the medical bay, breathless. Captain, the council is implementing containment protocols. They're preparing to isolate the station and sterilize. Elena's blood ran cold. Sterilize? With us aboard? Kumar nodded grimly. Elder Thrixma is stalling them. but the vote is trending toward extreme measures. A sudden commotion drew their attention to the far side of the medical bay. A council physician had collapsed, her containment suit breached by a minor tear near the wrist. Medical staff rushed to isolate her but hesitated, unsure how to treat the contamination. Dr. Chen moved decisively, pushing through the protective barriers. "Let me help," she insisted, preparing a targeted antibiotic injection. The alien medical director blocked her path. "Your bacteria caused this. How can we trust your treatment?" "Because we've lived with these organisms for thousands of years," Chen responded firmly. "We've developed countless ways to control them." Elena stepped forward. "You fear us because we evolved differently than you. But that difference gives us knowledge you need right now." She gestured to the growing number of patients. "This outbreak is just the beginning. If our species are going to coexist, you need to understand what we are, not just what you fear we might be." The medical director wavered, compound eyes shifting between the dying physician and the confident human doctor. "We don't have time for debate," Chen pressed. "Let me demonstrate what human medicine can do." After a tense moment, the director stepped aside. Chen administered the treatment with practiced efficiency. The convulsing physician gradually stabilized. "Remarkable," whispered an observing council biologist, recording data. "You neutralize the contaminants without harming the host." Elena turned to Zaxvoon. "This is what humanity offers the galaxy. Not just our bacteria, but our understanding of how to live with them." She straightened her uniform. "Take me to the council. They need to see that there's another option besides extermination or eternal quarantine." The security chief studied her through his protective visor, mandibles clicking in what Elena had learned to recognize as deep consideration. "Perhaps," he finally conceded, "there is wisdom in confronting a fear rather than merely containing it." The council chamber fell silent as Elena made her offer. The transparent containment pod hummed softly around the human delegation, its field designed to prevent even the smallest microbe from escaping. High Counselor Zethnar's crystalline form pulsed with skepticism. "You claim you can control these microorganisms when they have already contaminated 3 decks? When 17 of our personnel lie critically ill?" "We've controlled microbes since before we understood what they were," Elena responded. "Before we had microscopes, before we knew bacteria existed, humans developed preservation techniques, sanitation methods, quarantine protocols." Dr. Kumar activated a holographic display showing historical images: ancient Egyptian honey preservation, salt curing of meat, isolation of plague victims. "Our entire civilization evolved alongside these organisms," Kumar explained. "We learned to harness beneficial microbes while controlling harmful ones." A council biologist named Vreenthal rose from her seat, her gelatinous form rippling with agitation. "This is precisely why you present such danger. Your biology makes distinctions that should be impossible. You host organisms that would kill us, yet they sustain you. You breathe spores that would devastate our worlds. Yet that same biology gives us solutions you've never needed to develop," Elena countered. She nodded to Dr. Chen, who stepped forward with a data crystal. "This contains formulae for targeted antibiotics that can neutralize the current outbreak," Chen stated. "We've already successfully treated 4 of your infected crew members." Murmurs spread through the council. Elder Thrixma's form brightened. Subtly, a sign of approval Elena had learned to recognize. "A temporary solution to an immediate crisis," dismissed Zethnar. "It does not address the fundamental incompatibility between our biologies." Elena straightened her shoulders. "Then, let us address it. Give my team 1 solar cycle to demonstrate comprehensive biosecurity protocols. If we fail, we'll accept whatever restrictions you impose." "And if we refuse?" asked a military commander from the back of the chamber. "Then you lose valuable time, while the contamination spreads," Elena said simply. "And you'll be forced to take extreme measures against your own station, and us." The implied threat hung in the air. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. "There is precedent," offered Elder Thrixma carefully. The Varaxian contamination of Cycle 87.3 was successfully contained through adaptive measures rather than sterilization. The Varaxians were not classified as an extinction-level species, objected another council member. Neither should we be, Elena said firmly. That classification was made without full understanding of human capabilities. She gestured to the data crystal in Chen's hand. We're not just carriers of microbes, we're masters of them. High Counselor Zethnar conferred quietly with senior members. The chamber remained tense with anticipation. 1 solar cycle. Zethnar finally announced, crystalline form pulsing with reluctant acquiescence. Demonstrate these protocols. Show us this mastery you claim. As the council session adjourned, Security Chief Zach Savoon approached the human containment pod. The High Counselor gave you an opportunity, he said, mandibles clicking softly. But others are not convinced. The military contingent has already prepared quarantine measures for your planet. They await only failure. Elena met his compound gaze steadily. Then we won't fail. As the humans were escorted back to their assigned quarters, Kumar leaned close to Elena. 24 hours to develop comprehensive biosecurity protocols for an entire station? Impossible. Not impossible, Elena corrected. Just another extinction-level event for humans to overcome. And according to their own records, that's what we do best. 18 hours into their allocated time, the human team worked with relentless focus across the contaminated sections of the station. Engineer Jackson stood knee-deep in coolant fluid that would have dissolved the exoskeletons of the station's maintenance crew, repairing critical filtration systems. Through the observation window, council engineers watched in disbelief. How is she not suffering cellular breakdown? One whispered. Human integumentary systems evolved with remarkable impermeability, Dr. Chen explained as she supervised the installation of specialized air scrubbers. Our skin keeps microbes in and environmental toxins out, most of the time. In the central laboratory, Kumar coordinated with the remaining human scientists, developing a 3-tiered approach to biosecurity. The holographic display showed the comprehensive system taking shape: specialized filtration for human quarters, decontamination protocols for shared spaces, and targeted probiotic treatments to protect vulnerable council species. We're essentially creating an artificial immune system for the entire station, Kumar explained to the council observers. One that allows our biologies to coexist. Elder Thrixma entered the laboratory, her crystalline form dim with exhaustion. From hours of political maneuvering within the council, the military faction is growing impatient, she warned. They argue that containing the outbreak temporarily does not address the long-term threat of human expansion. Elena looked up from the environmental control station she was reconfiguring. Then we need to show them we're not just containing our influence, we're harnessing it. She activated her communicator. Lieutenant Rodriguez, status report on the critical patients? Rodriguez's voice came through clearly from the medical bay. 8 patients fully recovered, 5 stabilizing, 3 still critical but responding to treatment. Dr. Chen's targeted antibiotics are working. Helena turned to Thrixma. That's not containment. That's healing. Something that wouldn't be possible without human understanding of microbial life. The elder's form brightened slightly. A compelling argument, but many council members remain unconvinced. They see only risk, not potential. Then let's show them something more dramatic, Elena decided. She turned to Kumar. The environmental crisis in Section 12. What's the status? Radiation levels still critical after the coolant leak, he reported. The council evacuated the entire section. Their environmental teams estimate 3 months for decontamination. Elena smiled. Perfect. Assemble a human team with radiation experience and bring samples from the medical bay, the bacteria we've been cultivating for bioremediation. 2 hours later, a delegation of council leaders watched through shielded windows as human engineers moved through the highly radioactive section, deploying specialized equipment and bacterial solutions. The radiation levels are lethal, protested a council safety officer. For extended exposure, yes, Kumar acknowledged. But humans have higher radiation tolerance than most council species, and we're using that tolerance to deploy something extraordinary. On the environmental monitors, radiation levels began dropping steadily as the introduced bacteria consumed radioactive particles, converting them into harmless compounds. Impossible, whispered a council scientist, checking and rechecking the readings. Bacterial bioremediation, explained Elena. An Earth technology we developed to clean up our own nuclear accidents. These microbes don't just resist radiation, they metabolize it. Elder Thrixma turned to the assembled council members, her crystalline form glowing with an intensity Elena hadn't seen before. Do you understand now? The elder asked her colleagues. What we feared as contamination may be the galaxy's greatest resource. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned HSS Symbiosis, watching as her ship approached the methane-shrouded world of Vordath Prime. 6 months had passed since the crisis aboard the Council Station, and the EI galaxy was transforming in ways no one could have predicted. Incoming transmission from the surface, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, her role now expanded to diplomatic communications. The Vordath Consortium is eager to begin medical exchanges. Elena nodded, still adjusting to how rapidly events were unfolding. After the successful demonstration of human biological capabilities, word had spread through unofficial channels faster than the Council could contain it. Species previously deemed developmentally restricted by Council standards had reached out through ancient communication networks, desperate for the help that humans could uniquely provide. Deploy the advance team, Elena ordered. Full biosecurity protocols, but ensure they understand we're here as partners, not saviors. Dr. Kumar entered the bridge, scrolling through data on his tablet. The Vordath atmospheric analysis is complete. Their methane-rich environment would be instantly lethal to most Council species, but our team can work safely with modified breathing apparatus. Their indigenous microbes pose no threat to humans with basic immunization. Another world, the Council wrote off that we can help, Elena noted. How many does that make now? 17 official requests for human assistance, Kumar reported. 43 unofficial inquiries. The frontier worlds are particularly eager. Those the Council deemed too harsh for settlement or technological development. The ship's communicator chimed with an encrypted transmission from Earth. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen, looking both exhausted and exhilarated. Captain Reyes, the Council Diplomatic Corps just departed Earth orbit, she reported. Their official proposal offers humanity membership in a special advisory capacity, focusing on xenomicrobiological affairs and hostile environment adaptation. Elena raised an eyebrow. I noticed they're not offering full Council membership. Not yet, Chen agreed with a slight smile. But they are requesting 300 human specialists for immediate deployment to Council medical and environmental facilities. They're calling it a knowledge exchange initiative. A soft colonization, Kumar observed wryly. They get our expertise without acknowledging our full status. Elena turned as a junior officer approached with another urgent communication. This, one from the mineral-rich world of Koresh, where a mining colony was suffering from atmospheric toxicity. The requests keep coming, she murmured. Each one another world the Council couldn't help, but we can. The Council's sanctions are having the opposite effect, Rodriguez pointed out. Every restriction they impose only highlights the disparity between their approach and ours. The main view screen shifted to display a galactic map, with highlighted points showing every world now in direct communication with Earth. The pattern was striking, a network of frontier worlds forming a new alliance outside traditional Council influence. We never needed warships, Elena realized, watching the network expand before her eyes. We just needed to show up and breathe. As the symbiosis prepared to enter Vordath's atmosphere, Elena received one final communication, a personal message from Elder Thrixma, now facing censure from hardliners in the Council. What you have begun cannot be undone. The galaxy is awakening to new possibilities. Some fear it. Others, like myself, see it as inevitable evolution. The Council must adapt or become irrelevant. The symbiosis has already begun. Ambassador Elena Reyes ran her hand along the living wall of the new Galactic assembly chamber. Beneath her fingers, genetically modified earth moss absorbed carbon dioxide and released oxygen, creating a breathable atmosphere for dozens of different species simultaneously. The technology, developed by human environmental engineers, had transformed interspecies politics. No more separate chambers, no more isolation fields. 20 years, she murmured to herself, taking in the scene before her. Below the speaker's platform, representatives from 327 worlds mingled freely, their diverse biologies protected by customized microbial shields. Another, human innovation. Species that would have been fatally incompatible now collaborated without fear, each protected by tailored probiotics and symbiotic microorganisms. Dr. Kumar approached, his hair now silver, face lined with the experiences of 2 decades on the galactic frontier. As Earth's foremost xenomicrobiologist, he had personally developed many of the protocols now in standard use throughout settled space. The council delegation has arrived, he informed her quietly. The last holdouts. Elena nodded. The former Galactic Council had gradually lost influence as the new assembly gained momentum. One by one, even the founding species had transitioned to the new governmental structure, all except a small faction of hardliners who had retreated to their core worlds, maintaining their sterile existence in isolation. They're ready to negotiate. Terms? She asked. Yes. The microbial barrier around their territories is becoming impossible to maintain. 3 of their colony worlds have already petitioned to join the assembly. The chamber's attention shifted as Elder Thrixma entered, one of the few original council members who had embraced the new order from the beginning. Her crystalline form had aged, with fracture lines showing the passage of time, but she moved, with the dignity of one who had chosen the right side of history. Ambassador Reyes, the elder greeted her warmly. The resolution is prepared for your final review. Elena examined the document on the floating display. The Comprehensive Biological Integration Treaty would formalize what had already become reality throughout much of the galaxy. A recognition that diversity of biological systems was not a threat, but an opportunity. It's remarkable, Elena observed, how quickly contamination became integration. Thrixma's form pulsed with the equivalent of a gentle laugh. Language evolves as quickly as biology when circumstances demand it. The chamber quieted as Elena took her position at the central podium. Before her, the most diverse gathering of sentient life ever assembled waited expectantly. Even representatives from the methane worlds of the Outer Rim were present, their environment suits modified with human technology. Representatives of the galaxy, she began, her voice steady with the weight of the moment. Today we formalize what many of us already know to be true. Life does not thrive in isolation. It thrives in connection, in complexity, in the beautiful chaos of interaction. She held up a small, transparent vial containing ordinary soil from Earth, teeming with millions of microorganisms. Once feared as a weapon of mass destruction, it was now recognized across the galaxy as the most precious resource in existence. 20 years ago, the former council classified humans as an extinction-level species. She continued, Today we recognize that all life exists on a spectrum of symbiosis. What was once feared can become essential. What was once alien can become family. As the assembly rose in unanimous approval, Elena caught Thrixma's gaze. The elder's crystalline form glowed with a rare intensity, the equivalent of tears in her species. The shocking truth, Elena concluded, is not how humans conquered the galaxy, but how we helped it heal itself.